Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill on a Tuesday from the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. I'm Hunt Palmer. He is Hill, Jeremy Hill, Casey Gaines, and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos for the first time in, I guess, 8-9 months. I feel very comfortable in the studio today because I had to wear my jacket to the office because it's freezing in the morning. And now I still have it, and we feel good because it's freezing in this studio and every day for the entire spring, summer, and most of the fall, which will continue again on Thursday. I just walk in here in a short-sleeve shirt and freeze. But today, I'm comfy.
Look, Taylor's going through it. I'm going through it. It's just a different type of cold hitting the city of Baton Rouge. And, of course, we know what this studio is going to be every single day. So, yeah, we came prepared a little bit.
Man, when it's 102 outside in August and you walk in here and it's 8 degrees, it's a little bit of a tough to dress for that. But for today, I'm all good. We get a day of fall today. We get a day of fall tomorrow. And then we're right back to 70s and 80s coming into the weekend. So enjoy it for the next 2 days. Those of you who love this, I don't hate it. It's fine. My wife turned the heater on this evening. I mean, last night. No, we don't need that. And she looks because, she said, the monitor said in Myers' room it was 68 degrees. I was like, he's fine if it's 68 degrees. Dad wants it to be 68 degrees because it's easier to sleep like that. It's very comfortable. You don't have to jack up the heat to 73. The child will be fine. I don't win any of those battles anyway. Just have a warm house and not be too happy about it. All right, that's enough temperature talk here. Kick off the show on a Tuesday. Tons to get to. Glenn West of Go 247 at 1:30. Sharif Ishak's going to join us at 2:30. He will be with the Saints at about 1:45, so he'll be just coming out of interviewing some Saints players. They've, of course, got a really quick week, turn around and travel to Arizona for a Thursday night game against the Cardinals, so we'll get Sharif's thoughts on that. Maybe a little Pels talk with the Sharif as well as they crank things up here this week. But we start today. I wanted to do a little bit of an exercise just looking at this LSU football roster and kind of where things sit from a program perspective. I've said a million times on these airwaves, if you listen at all, that this is the first restart in the program in 23 years, really. So at this point in the season, you've played your patsies, you've played some big-time games. You kind of know where you are on this roster. And so I was curious how much that roster is young, how much of that is experienced and old. So I kind of rolled through it. Before I start diving in, Jeremy, first glance, not looking at any of the stats that I've got here, any of the depth chart, do you think this is a young roster? You think it's an old roster? And where do you think it is before I dive into it?
I think it's older, actually, the more I think about it. When you look at the guys in the transfer portal that came over to this team, you look at the quarterback position. I know you got some young guys on that offensive line, but if I had to guess, if the receivers are older, I think it's probably an older team just without looking at everyone's kind of what grade they're in right now.
So we'll start on the offensive side of the ball, and I will be very honest introing this segment. I'm still so flustered by transfer portal, COVID year, red shirt stuff that I am not going to swear by almost any of these classifications. I know what they're listed as, but in terms of intentions for the draft, leverage, I'm not 100% certain on everything. It's just too much at this point. But I can tell you a lot of stuff. We'll start on the offensive line. Will Campbell is a freshman. He's going to be there for a long time. Garrett Dellinger is basically your best interior offensive lineman at this point, and he is a sophomore. Charles Turner, I don't believe, he's destined for a long pro career at this point. I think it's likely he's back next year on your roster. He's been your center. Anthony Bradford is a junior. He could, I guess, theoretically test the NFL waters. I don't know that that's necessarily something that I would bet on. Chance he could come back as well. And then Emory Jones at right tackle is obviously a freshman. So there's a realistic chance all 5 of your offensive linemen have another year or more left in this program. Start backing up. Jaden Daniels has another year to play next year. Armani Goodwin has another year to play next year. John Emery will be gone. And Josh Williams, we'll see what he decides to do. He wasn't in a signing class. He's just got on scholarship. There's a COVID year. I think he can come back next year if he wants. Okay. Then out at wide receiver, you've got Kayshawn and Jeray Jenkins, who will be gone after this year. But then you start looking around at Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. and Jack Besh and those guys, Chris Hilton back next year. And then Mason Taylor is a freshman, could be back next year. And Cole Taylor can come back next year if you want. So on the offensive side, really, you lose Kayshawn Boutte, Jeray Jenkins, and John Emery. And everybody else kind of has the option to come back, which I think, I'm not even talking about like trying to get you ready for next year. We got an Ole Miss game to get ready for right now, but it's Tuesday. I'm just kind of seeing where is the program in terms of depth. And obviously you can supplement all this stuff with transfer portal guys moving forward, but it's pretty young offense. You take Kayshawn, Jeray, and Emery out, it's a pretty young offense.
Yeah. When you speak of young, obviously a lot of these guys have a lot of experience, but they do have eligibility left. And I think that's looking forward for this program and kind of checking the temperature of this program. Obviously, there's so much work you have to do in that year one, kind of get everyone in the new offense, get how the coaches are going to be coaching, kind of what they're expecting of everyone. And then kind of you can see that huge jump going in year two. For LSU, thankfully, you're going to have a lot of those guys who've been through a full year in this system. They've been through spring football already. They've been through a fall camp. They've been through a season. And then kind of when you go into this next spring, everyone kind of knows exactly what's going to be asked of them. They're going to have a full season of confidence of doing the kind of positive things you saw in that Florida game going forward. So, I think for this LSU offense, the future is definitely bright when you kind of look at all the eligibility they have left still in that room.
And if they continue to yo-yo, they look like they did against Auburn, and they come out and show what they did against Florida. Second half Florida State, first half Florida State. There's a yo-yo that's been in effect. But if they stabilize a little bit down the stretch and continue to have some games look like the one they did against Florida, if they can do that against A&M or they can do that against Ole Miss, certainly Alabama, all of a sudden you start turning around and going, oh, well, a lot of these guys are coming back. This could be a really potent offense for next year. And that's what they're trying to build on in the program. Now you turn around to the defense, and the picture's a little bit different. And we knew this because of the amount of guys that they went and got in the transfer portal, specifically in the secondary. But you look up front, I think B.J. Ojulari is going to move on clearly. Jaquelin Roy, I believe, will have an opportunity to go in the first 65 picks of the draft, and we'll kind of see. Ali Gay is going to move on after this year. Micah Baskerville is out of eligibility in the middle. So that's four really big pieces there in the middle that you figure to lose. You got Mekhi Wingo, Mason Smith returns. You got Harold Perkins, we know, Greg Penn as well. You got West Weeks, you got some other guys, but and then Mike Jones, who hasn't played a lot. But I'm talking about the guys who are really playing right now. You lose Ojulari, Jaquelin Roy, Ali Gay, Baskerville, and then you go to the outside. Jarek Bernard-Converse, I think, has a year left to play with from the COVID year. We'll see what he decides to do NFL-wise. Colby Richardson is going to be gone. Mekhi Gardner will have a decision to make. His measurables are going to be fantastic. Greg Brooks will have a decision to make. Is he done playing college football, or does he want to exercise one more COVID year? And then you got Jay Ward and Major Burns, who will not be back in my estimation. So Bernard-Converse, Ojulari, Brooks, Roy, Gay, Richardson, Baskerville, Jay Ward, Major Burns. That's 9 guys I just rattled off there that, if you got 1 or 2 of them back maybe, but the odds are you're overhauling the defense pretty significantly next year.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you knew watching that Texas Bowl. We had the immortal pig cage out there just eating up snaps, and anytime you see something like that happen, depth is going to be a huge issue. And so for this defense, you had to revamp it in the transfer portal. But a lot of those guys, the reason why you got them because they had so much film.
Yeah, because they're ready to play.
Yeah, you had so much film on them. You knew what they could do, and you knew, they can go into a new program and kind of pick it up pretty quickly there. So that's going to be a big hole. We're not even getting to the special teams part yet of all this thing. So I think for defense, you're going to really have to have a huge another offseason of great transfer portal signings. Obviously, you're going to have to bring in some guys in this freshman class that you're going to have to depend on because anytime you use that amount of guys that quickly, it's just sometimes it's very, very difficult to replace. And so I think, the biggest question mark going into next season is going to be how they revamp this defense, who's had some bright spots this season, but we also seen them kind of give up some big plays as well, too.
And I think you could be really encouraged with some of the things you've seen from young players. Mekhi Wingo is in his second year in college and has played very well at times. Harold Perkins could very well be a star. They do have some young depth at linebacker with Penn, who's a sophomore player, and with Wes Weeks, who's in his second year of college, that you hope can grow into a really impactful player. And up front, Jacobian Guillory, Mason Smith, Savion Jones, Quincy Wiggins, Desmond Little. You still have guys who are going to be back on this team. I don't mean to paint it as a totally gloomy picture on the defense, but I do think now that we've established your frontline guys 2 months into the season, a lot of them will not be here next year, basically. But that should give you, there's some depth coming back that's not transfer portal, especially on the front seven.
Yeah, and I think that starts with Harold Perkins, and I think getting Mason Smith back is going to be a huge part to do with that. And anytime those two guys are on the defense, I think those two guys can just wreck a football game with the ability to get after the passer. Those are their ability to force fumbles. Those are probably going to be the two guys you depend on the most going into next year. And if you're starting with that, then something tells me the defense just can't be absolutely terrible. But there's going to be so much talent there still. I think Quincy Wiggins is a guy that I'm excited to kind of see blossom as a Tiger and kind of what he can do for this football team. But I'm kind of intrigued about the secondary. I think that's kind of something that, they're going to have to kind of figure out, because kind of looking in there, you obviously didn't have much depth past the guys you have in the transfer portal now. Who are you going to depend on, when those guys kind of leave to go to the NFL or, do things past college football?
When Stingley, McLaughlin, and Ricks up and leave, and I realized Stingley was going to be gone anyway, but those three guys who were really the pillars of your last two secondaries, when those guys leave, it is going to be difficult, and then you fill it with guys who have options to go to the NFL immediately, whether they have to or they can. All of a sudden, it gets a little bit dicey, but there's still, Sage Ryan's there. I mean, there are still guys, and the transfer portal is still open. So that's just part of college football as it is today. But so to answer the initial question right off the top, you said it's a little bit older. It is older on defense, and it is pretty young offense. So it is more so than ever a team building exercise as opposed to a program building exercise. But there is always a big picture, and that's something that we brought up in August of this team. Like, how will Brian Kelly coach? Obviously, he's trying to win every single game. Is there some sort of consideration given to the big picture? I can't answer that question for you, but it's certainly interesting fodder for us to sit here and chat about. So, look, I think LSU's football program is going to head in the right direction. Certainly, we think this is a week-to-week season, and this week is better than the last week because you played really well for most of that game on Saturday. So we'll bring the positive vibes when we talk about the Tigers this week till we make our pick at the end of the week. I want to give congratulations to Lenny Dubuisson of Ponchatoula. Lenny won Week 7 of the 2022 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em Contest. He wins $15 in Twin Peaks gift cards. Don't forget to make your picks for Week 8 by 5 p.m. on Thursday. Play the 2022 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em today at 1045ESPN.com. All right, I think on Saturday, the national championship picture got shaken up for the first time really significantly, with a couple top 10 teams going down. We'll kind of sort through that when we come back on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
We tell you every day now about One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. If you're not happy with your bathroom, your closet space, your wife is not happy with her bathroom, closet space, that's why One Bath and Closets is here. David Duvall has been in the business for 3 decades, redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. And if you tell him that Hunt and Hill sent you to One Bath and Closets, 30% off. That's significant. 30% off. If you say that Hunt and Hill sent you, they start their process with a questionnaire. They understand what it is that you want to accomplish. If it means they need to come in there and really do some construction work to open up your space or create a new one, they can do that. If they just need to come into your existing space and help you better utilize that space, they can do that as well. You don't have to move to create a better or more comfortable, more convenient, more luxurious living space. One Bath and Closets can do that for you. They'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Call David Duvall and our guys over at One Bath and Closets. You can find them at onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you. Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, Spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jdacody.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today for a better life.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance. This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I hand up. I absolutely said in August it felt like it was Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia. That's really it for the national championship. And how bad is that for the sport? And it's boring for everybody. And then here we go. You look up and Tennessee's right in the mix, absolutely right in the mix. And I think that's awesome for the sport. It's always going to be a sport of haves and have-nots. I realize that. I say it all the time. But I feel like it had gotten a little bit too predictable. And if you keep regurgitating the same 3 teams for national championships, it will get boring and people will tune out. And that sucks. So I think it's great that Michigan beat Ohio State last year and made its push towards being relevant again because they could do it. I think it's awesome that Tennessee beat Alabama on Saturday because I think they have the capabilities to do it. Not all do, but those 2 do. And you look up now, and if I gave you Georgia or Ohio State or the field, you would probably have to strongly consider the field because Tennessee's in the field, and Michigan's in the field, and Clemson's in the field, and Alabama's in the field. And it's, I certainly wouldn't have given you that option for Alabama as of 3 days ago, but now we sit here and they've got a loss and they're in second place in their division. So I realize they control their destiny there, but it definitely everything shook up on Saturday, and I think that's really good for the sport. We need more of 2007 where it's a chaos free-for-all than we do Clemson, Ohio State, Bama, and Georgia going undefeated, and then the loser of the championship game getting in and them fighting it out. Nobody wants to really watch that. I realize it's really good football, and they're really good teams, and I don't mean to diminish their teams. And I did not think it was a terrible thing that LSU and Alabama played again for the national championship after the 2011 season. I wanted Oklahoma State badly. Did I think Bama was better than them? Yeah. Did I think those 2 teams were really good football teams? Yeah. But you need some variety, and I think Saturday pushed us in that direction with Michigan once again showing that they've got some chops, and Tennessee kicking the door down saying, hey, we're here too.
Yeah, no, I think normally when you get to this point in the season, it's kind of sign, seal, and deliver. You know the teams, Michigan's normally never into it. Obviously, Bama can just walk through Tennessee. Obviously, they had the most viewers they've had in God knows how long watching that game. Normally, that's not the case because Bama's up by 30-0 by halftime. And so you're seeing just a lot more teams that are in it. It just makes it more fun down the stretch. Now these, Week 11, Week 12 matchups, they mean so much if a team loses a game. And then it puts so much more pressure on championship weekend. That's really going to, tell a lot with a lot of these conferences and a lot of these teams, which I think is going to create a crazy world for a lot of these fan bases because there's going to be some teams with one loss. And you're going to look at teams in the SEC potentially with one loss, and then the committee's going to have to make a big-time decision, and a lot of times a decision where they don't really have to think much about who they put in. But I think this year of all years, they're going to have to come down and make some decisions to see who actually deserves to be in it, especially if you got, 5 or 6 teams with one loss, towards the end, which I think is very possible this year. Who knows who they'll put in. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think it's great for a college football fan for sure.
The doomsday scenario for the playoff committee that's great for everyone in college football and is mass chaos if you're into that kind of thing is very clearly laid out in the Southeastern Conference. And this doesn't even factor Ole Miss in, which they may be a factor. We'll just see. But theoretically, if all else holds and you get Georgia beating Tennessee to knock them out of Atlanta, you get Alabama running the table, getting to the SEC championship game to play an undefeated Georgia and beating Georgia. Then all of a sudden you have a one-loss Tennessee who didn't win the East. You got a one-loss Georgia who didn't win the Southeastern Conference, and you've got a one-loss Alabama who lost to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to have room for all those teams.
Could I throw an extra nugget in there? What if Ole Miss runs the table and only loses to Bama during the regular season in the SEC?
Then Bama gets to Atlanta, and then they got a one loss. Yeah, I mean,
what do you do with that?
Ole Miss would have less of a stake because their strength of schedule wouldn't be as good. That's when I guess it may hurt them that they play Vanderbilt instead of real football teams.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can toss that in there. You could certainly envision some chaos up in the Big Ten, but it just feels like it's Michigan, Ohio State, and everybody else up there right now. I mean, Penn State showed itself to kind of be a paper tiger on Saturday. They had not really done anything entering that game, and they just got absolutely bullied at the line of scrimmage. So, I mean, it's the chaos scenario is out there. I mean, if you had to pick 4 teams to make the playoffs right now, who would it be?
I definitely would have to throw Tennessee in there. I think they're just not getting – I mean, they beat Alabama. You look at Ohio State.
They're going to have to beat Georgia.
Yeah, they have to. But I'm saying right now, if you're looking at it, what they've done just so far right now, I definitely got to put them up there. Got to put Georgia up there. I think Ohio State is up there. And then it gets a little shaky. Then it's like,
Clemson's undefeated.
Who they played, man?
That doesn't matter. That does not matter.
I guess so. I guess Clemson, just because I wouldn't look. I know I would rather in one-loss SEC team.
Well, that ain't the way. That ain't gonna get it.
Yeah, they're not. If they're undefeated, they're gonna get in. But their schedule is literally a joke. Right
you look at Clemson. They went to Wake with Sam Hartman, beat them 51-45. They played NC State, who was ranked 10th at the time, beat them 30-20. Just went to Doak Campbell and took out the Florida State Seminoles. But they got number 14 Syracuse coming to Clemson.
Oh my God.
Then they're at Notre Dame, who Notre Dame, by the way, for those that aren't paying attention, I could give 2 rips about what a Notre Dame fan says about Brian Kelly coming there and we're better off with Marcus Freeman. I don't care about Notre Dame. You're not relevant to me in my worldview. I don't care. The fact of the matter is that they stink. Their football team is in big trouble because Stanford had lost 11 straight games against the FBS, 11 in a row, and went to Notre Dame and won. Notre Dame also lost to Marshall, who, by the way, Marshall lost to somebody who's atrocious over the weekend. I can't look that up, see who Marshall lost to over the weekend. I saw this on a Notre Dame Twitter feed, and I thought it was humorous. But look, I mean, that Clemson's got them, which is supposed to theoretically be a pretty big game. And they got Louisville.
Oh, they lost to ULL.
Louisiana Lafayette?
Yeah, Naperless ULL.
Okay, that's great. Notre Dame lost to them. And then they got Louisville and then Miami and then South Carolina. People are going to think I did that ULL thing on purpose. I promise I didn't. I didn't know who it was. I remember some Notre Dame fan was like popping off on Twitter and it ended up on my feed due to retweets of some sort. But that's where I got the Stanford lost 11 in a row stat, which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, Clemson, they've got a couple of name brands on their schedule in Notre Dame and Miami, and then South Carolina. But the odds are they're going to run the table, and so they're probably going to get in. I think this Clemson team is decent. It's not as good as some of those Dabo teams that had Deshaun and Trevor on them, but DJU is playing better. He's actually hitting some deep balls, and he's not turning the ball over. He looked really rough last year for a lot of the season, but their defensive line's still pretty good, and I think they're the class of the ACC. The question always becomes this time of year when Ole Miss trips them up, or when LSU trips them up, or when something happens to Bama early, do they get the benefit of the doubt late? And I don't know that they're going to have to get the benefit of the doubt, because really they're just going to have to run the table, and they're going to have to beat Georgia.
Yeah, no,
or Tennessee again.
Yeah, no, they definitely do. That's definitely the avenue that they have to take. And I think anytime you play the non-conference schedule that they played, it's just like you
went to Texas. That's trying.
I guess so, but I think that's an avenue you definitely have to take. But I'm more curious about the Big 12 situation.
Yes, that is one.
If TCU runs the table, then what do we do with
UCLA?
Oh, goodness. Now we're just getting crazy.
I asked you about that last week. You said no.
But look, no, honestly, now looking at USC, what they did last week, and if they beat that USC team and they're undefeated, and I mean, now you got potentially, how about this? A potentially undefeated Clemson, potentially undefeated TCU, potentially undefeated UCLA. Then what does the committee do?
UCLA, TCU, and who?
And Clemson.
Clemson gets in on clout.
Okay, all right. Okay.
And then you're going to knock a one-loss SEC team out at that point. An undefeated Big 12 champion or Pac-12 champion is going to get in over a one-loss SEC non-champion 100 times out of 100. It's incorrect.
Yeah.
It's incorrect. If Tennessee loses to Georgia, doesn't get to play in Atlanta, and is sitting at home with a win over Alabama and a loss to Georgia, the SEC champion, and TCU and USC are sitting there with Ohio State, Clemson, they're not even getting a sniff. They won't even. Crazy. No one will even know they exist.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just think that, I mean, they showed last year they didn't care that they were a non-Power 5. They just threw Cincinnati in there as quick as they could humanly do.
Had no losses.
One win over Notre Dame.
Went to Notre Dame and won.
One win over Notre Dame. They just threw them. Oh, you're undefeated. Yep, you're good to go. So yeah, that's the precedent they've set.
TCU. If you look at their schedule, what's coming up, you would say, man, they got a real chance to do it. But here's the point with college football. This is why there are elite programs that can get the players and get it done, and why there aren't. And what you talk about in the middle of October ends up not materializing, because TCU will trip up over one of these teams they should not lose to. They got Kansas State coming up. They're at West Virginia, who's not any good. They got Texas Tech, whatever. They're at Texas. They're at Baylor. They're versus Ohio. There's no way TCU is going to run the table. No way.
Yeah, I mean, they've had some close calls already this season. It's not like they're just obliterating everyone by 30 and 20. They've had some really, really close calls. But, I mean, kind of look at their resume. They've beat some ranked teams. They beat Oklahoma State.
3 in a row?
Yeah.
Oklahoma, Kansas, Oklahoma State?
Yeah, so they beat some teams. So, yeah, if they are undefeated.
Only one was on the road. Was that mighty Lawrence, Rock Chalk?
Yeah, I mean, the Big 12 goes through Lubbock, like their head coach said. They got to win that game. But, yeah, man, it's going to be crazy, man. It's a lot different than what we thought going into this season. It's going to be crazy down the stretch to kind of see how this whole thing plays out.
Look, I want interesting stuff. I don't – the best football is Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Michigan. But if you throw a couple other teams in there – my team doesn't have a dog in the fight. At least it's interesting to talk about.
Yeah,
but
for
if
sure.
it comes down to the best football, it comes down to the best football, and those are the best teams. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back with Glenn West of Go 247 Talking Tigers. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
Hold down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill.
Reliable Roofing and Construction. ReliableRoofingBR.com.
Yeah, so I have to tell you guys about Reliable Roofing, a family-run, owned, and operated residential roofing company. They've been in business since 2008 with over 30 years of roofing experience.
$1,000 off is no joke. Breast Cancer Awareness Month here in October. Reliable Roofing doing their part. No catch here. $1,000 off all of their roof replacements right now. If you're having trouble with your homeowner's insurance, you're getting non-renewed, they're trying to put a new carrier on your homeowner's insurance, but they won't because your roof is not up to date, let Reliable Roofing come out, do an inspection, do a repair, do a replacement so that you can get homeowner's insurance placed on your home. They are happy to do that. Check out their Instagram at Reliable Roofing LLC. Of course, the website, reliableroofingbr.com, has a ton of before and after pictures of all their great work, the finest shingles, finest selection of shingles, and a 5-year labor warranty on every single job that they perform. It's Reliable Roofing and Construction. Check out the website, reliableroofingbr.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Order curbside pickup online or with Rouse's Market Shopping app and let Rouse's personal shopper shop for you. Curbside pickup is free and you pay the same price for groceries as in-store. Use code SAINTS20 and save $20 on orders of $100 or more. That's curbside convenience. Shopper style.
Oh, yeah! Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
NFL is back. Our coverage starts Sunday at 10 a.m. with Magnolia Bluffs Football Sunday with Jimmy Ott, immediately followed by the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts at noon, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Every Tuesday at 1:30, Glenn West, to go 247 jumps aboard. He does so now. Glenn, how are you?
Hey, guys. Doing great. How are you?
Doing very well. This is the question everybody is asking and everybody is getting on the LSU beat this week. Was Saturday's offensive effort some sort of unlocking of the system that's going to move forward, or was that just part of the up and downs of year one in this offense?
Yeah, so I think I kind of tend to agree with the second part. I think I'm going to probably take it with a grain of salt. I think you've seen the blueprint now of what this offense can look like, but you got to see it consistently to really believe in it. So I think this is going to be a greatly important weekend for the offense in terms of showing that they can do this thing in back-to-back weeks. But there's no question that last weekend was a tremendously positive sign. If you had asked me a week ago if I thought that LSU could win a game when it's really depending on the offense. I don't know that I could have given you an answer that with a straight face. I mean, like that was an extremely impressive performance, probably one of the more efficient offensive performances we've seen since 2019. I mean, I can't really recall any other game in the last couple of years where you score 6 touchdowns on your first 6 drives. So, it was an extremely positive development, but you want to see some consistency now.
What was the best part of it?
I would say Jaden Daniels, honestly. I mean, he was so confident. You could tell there was just a different way that the game was flowing. Coach Kelly kind of said after the game and to the media afterwards that it's slowing down for him. It really looks like the offense is starting to slow down for him. And so I was extremely impressed with Jaden because he didn't run because he wanted to run. He ran because he had to run. And, he had those 3 touchdown runs, which were extremely important. But the way he was taking those shots downfield, I mean, that long ball to Jeray Jenkins was an absolutely beautiful throw. He hit Brian Thomas on some really nice passes. But really unlocking Kayshon Boutte, I think, early in that game really helped the flow of the offense kind of get into what they wanted to do for the rest of the game. I thought that was a huge telltale sign to get him those 3 or 4 catches in the first half, and they were really rolling after that.
A lot of Tiger fans still clamoring for John Emery Jr. to get some more touches, but do you think with the performance of Josh Williams, he's kind of earned the claim of being the lead dog back for this football team?
I think it'll still be probably a committee thing. I think, look, Williams had a really nice game. They obviously trust him in this offense immensely. I kind of wrote about him last week as a player to really watch in this game, and was glad to be proven right on that one. He was fantastic, but I think you got to work Emery in. You got to have kind of a change of pace. Emery had some really nice plays, a couple weeks ago, and he's had a tough time, I guess, kind of keeping that consistency going. But I think he's a dynamic athlete in the open field, and if you can get him some space, if you can get him some touches, just to kind of get some of the weight off of Josh Williams' shoulder, then I think that would be the optimal scenario is to keep this thing a committee backfield.
Chatting with Glenn West of Go247. I've thought about asking this question the last couple of weeks, and it slipped my mind for whatever reason. What's Jaden Daniels like day to day, or in the interviews that y'all are able to conduct with him week to week?
Sure. Yeah, we've only had a chance to talk with him midweek, probably once or twice during the regular season. But he kind of strikes me as just a very disciplined, well put together guy. I mean, he doesn't say a whole ton, but I don't think he really needs to say a whole ton. He has come in, I think, with a very business-like approach in this season. I think he realizes this is a really great opportunity for him, and he's done a really nice job of handling himself with the media. He's given us, not too much, but not too little as well. So he's been fun to cover, fun to get to talk to a little bit, get to know a little bit, but he definitely keeps himself guarded in some respects, and I think that's just probably the way that he is, and we'll see if we can't try to unlock a little bit more out of him as this offense really gets rolling here.
One of the talking points for me through the first 3-4 games of the year was that LSU's defense was not necessarily locking everyone down, but seemed to be in the right place, wasn't busting assignments or giving up any huge plays. That's kind of changed over the last couple of weeks. Where have you noticed the deficiencies in those big plays?
Yeah, it's been concerning for sure. I mean, you had that first week where it really showed against Auburn. That was a lot of communication errors, a lot of busted coverages in the secondary. But really the last 2 weeks, it's been the run defense, which had really been consistent for him the first 5-6 weeks of the season. And so, that's a major concern. Tennessee, Florida, Ole Miss, these are all really, really good running teams. They have running quarterbacks. They have great running backs as well. So you've got to get more discipline as a whole unit defensively to kind of start locking down this running attack for Ole Miss. It's averaging almost 270 or over 270 on the ground per game. There's a lot of work to do. I would say probably the biggest thing is just tackling. I think that's kind of where LSU fell into some holes last week against Florida. They were trying to rip the ball out instead of just wrapping guys up. And you saw that on that big, long Anthony Richardson run there where there was probably 4 or 5 missed tackles on that, and really nobody got a good grasp on them. So I would say that's a good starting point. but there's definitely got to be some changes here. And I think, you're going to start seeing a lot more Harold Perkins. You're going to see a lot of Micah Baskerville. And you're going to see a lot of these guys that have proven themselves in games to be good tacklers and can be pretty efficient against the run.
No secret, this team has absolutely struggled to return kicks and punts. When you start with Malik Neighbors, you go to Jack Best, and even Clayton, who had a kind of blunder on special teams against Mississippi State. Do you think they kind of stand pat with the guys they put back there before, or do you think we see a new returner this Saturday against Ole Miss?
It's a great question. Honestly, that was probably one that we didn't get a chance to ask yesterday, but we probably should have. But I think, they put Clayton back there, after Besh went out with the injury. I think you might stick with Clayton. But, I mean, look, there's really been no player so far that has consistently been able to show you that he can just field the kicks and field the punts. Just forget returning the ball. Just catch the ball and just let LSU's offense take over wherever. So I think I'm kind of getting to that point where as long as you have a guy that can field the catch, that's good enough for me. And so I think that's got to be your focus here. Just kind of a wild card to throw out there. I just have so much trust in Josh Williams. I mean, I feel like that might be a guy that, if LSU gets desperate, just throw him back there a couple times in practice and see if he can be kind of a consistent guy. I think he's somebody that just doesn't really get, shaded by anything. I think he really is a trustworthy player, and so we'll see. I don't know who they're going to throw out there on Saturday, but that's just kind of a couple names that I thought of.
A key or two for Saturday against Ole Miss for the Tigers.
Definitely stop the run. I mean, that's going to be, the focus has got to be on Jackson Dart using his legs. I think you got to make him beat you with his arm. These running backs, Zach Evans is just really, really dynamic, and so got to start with the run game there. Offensively, you just want to see more of what you saw last weekend. I mean, there really was not much you could nitpick at last weekend. In terms of their performance, I think you get one of the running backs going early in the game, like you did with Josh Williams last weekend. You maybe ride the coattails of that back. And then you kind of just continue to see what you hope to see from this offense from a passing perspective, continue to get guys involved. We'll see if Jack Best is able to go. He's been dealing with a little bit of a back strain. That's probably the only guy out of that receiver core that's kind of questionable heading into this one. But I do think LSU has, they found the blueprint, like I said, on offense in terms of getting some consistency out of the passing game. And I think you just got to see it for another week here.
He's Glenn West, go247 for all your recruiting and team coverage needs. Thanks, Glenn.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Always have Glenn on Tuesdays at 1:30. Always enjoy our conversation. Josh Williams is a punt return candidate. What do you think about that?
Ooh, I don't know about punt return. Kick return, yeah, I could see him kick return. Normally the running backs, I don't know. Do you think about any running backs that have done punt return? I can't think of any off the top of my head. Maybe Gibbs from Alabama. But
Kevin Falk.
that Kevin Falk. You said it just now. Yeah, exactly.
All right, ESPN came out with some NFL power rankings, what it means for the New Orleans Saints, and about their schedule going forward that looked brutal on paper, and we'll kind of get into that coming up next. We'll have a fall baseball report coming up in hour number 2 as well. It's a Tuesday edition of Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
LWCC is elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. October's champion of Louisiana, Fresh Junkie Racing.
Yeah, Fresh Junkie Racing is a group of racing enthusiasts that have taken their love of running and built a business providing citizens across the state a way to get moving and stay moving. Created by athletes for athletes, Fresh Junkie Racing hosts world-class racing events and triathlons right here in Louisiana, welcoming crowds from across the globe to experience this place we call home.
Absolutely. $5.2 million in economic impact to the state from the Louisiana Marathon. And look, they're also keeping people healthy as well. So Fresh Junkie, truly a champion of Louisiana. Mean this sincerely. If you know of a business, if you knew of a nonprofit, a person that's doing great things in our state of Louisiana, we want to tell their story for LWCC. Let us do it. Go to lwcc.com/Louisiana Loyal and nominate this business, this nonprofit, this person as a champion of Louisiana so that we can do it each and every day here on Hunt and Hill. LWCC, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
Professional golfers John Peterson and JJ Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste and only 96 calories. It's Miller time.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Sean Salisbury stops by for his weekly visit. We'll talk SEC with Peter Burns. Join us for Tuesday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Fall baseball report coming up at 2:15. Sharif Ishaq from down there with the Saints at 2:30. He will have just wrapped up his interviews with the guys as they head to Arizona on Thursday night. NFL Power Rankings came out. The Saints ranked number 21 in this iteration of the Power Rankings. Catherine Terrell writes the piece, said, "It was assumed the Saints defense would pick up where it left off, remain a top-tier unit despite an overhauled secondary. Just one interception thus far, and they have fallen from number 7 in total defense to number 17 this year. No longer have the vaunted run defense they once had. The offense continues to get the attention, but the defense has made some key mistakes this year, including missed tackles in critical moments. Certainly the defense let them down in the game against the Bengals. So not shocking that a team with the record the Saints have is thought of as the 21st best team. But if you look at their schedule coming up and you're thinking preseason expectations for these teams, you see at Arizona, a team that last year started 8-0. You think home against the Raiders, a playoff team from last year. Well, they're not playing very well. Thinking home against the Ravens, thinking that's, an elite team. And I'm not saying they're bad. They're not, but they're losing football games. Then you're at the Steelers. Well, that used to be a brutal game. And yeah, I know what happened on Sunday. They played a nice game, but are they really good? No, they're not. Then you got the Rams at home. You thought, well, that's the champs. Well, they're not playing very good. Then you're at the 49ers, which has a pretty nice roster, but what happened to them on Sunday? It was awful. Then you're at Tampa. Well, they're 500. Then you play Atlanta, which was actually better than you thought, but they're still a 500 team. At Cleveland, do they look awesome? Now, then you got to go to Philly, and that's tough, and then you play the Panthers. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of these teams before the season started, you would have had in a much better spot than you have them right now.
Yeah, no, that's just kind of the crazy thing that's kind of happened with this National Football Conference this season is not many world beaters, not many teams just blowing everyone out of the water, well above 500. It's a lot of teams struggling, trying to find their way. And unfortunately for the Saints, they happen to be one of those teams. But with that being said, though, you're still in it. You're not out of it, and it's going to be kind of one of those wacky seasons where I could potentially see a team with a losing record winning their division, which is we've seen happen before. But I think this season that's definitely on the table. But I think for the Saints, we've been talking about this for I feel like 2 seasons straight in a row. Like you just have to get healthy. Like you have to have that team on paper that you felt good about going into the season, actually out there playing in football games, and they just have not had that. For whatever reason, the injury guy just has not been good to the Saints, and that's kind of why you see them, especially in the secondary last week. Like that was just, I mean, they handed the ball off, 12 times, 11 times, and they just say, you know what, Joe, just throw the ball. Like we're not even going to waste time running it. And when you normally think about that Saints secondary, that's just probably the last avenue you would want to have to go against it if you're another football team. So I think offensively and defensively for the Saints, getting back healthy, and I think they're kind of finding something with Dalton. He's not turning it over at an alarming clip. Maybe they ride with him a little longer and kind of see what that does. But I think now that you have Kamara and Ingram going in the run game, getting those receivers back and getting those DBs back, I think that's going to help this team kind of stay in it so they're not just totally eliminated from the playoffs.
And you get a mini bye after this one. If you can find some way somehow to go to Arizona and win, okay, that's going to be difficult. If you can find any way to go do that on a short week, super banged up, to go to Arizona and win. 1, they may be looking for another coach. 2, you come home for 2, and one of them's a Monday night game. So, every game that I rattle off with these teams that are not what we thought they may be, the Cardinals, Raiders, Ravens, Steelers, Rams, Niners, Bucks, whatever, whichever one I rattle off, they're NFL games, so they're 50-50. It's not like it's a cakewalk and it's LSU playing a Sun Belt team. Like, no. But 10 wins, I think, is almost a lock to win the division. Mm-hmm. It's not, but it's almost feels that way. And I'm not saying 8-3 is easy to do, but it's not impossible. So, yeah. Once again, as I said yesterday, I would bet against the Saints doing that. But any notion that they're dead and buried is exaggerated in my point. Find any way to go and beat the Cardinals on Thursday night. Take your extended bye week here into the weekend. Maybe get a couple of guys back and play 2 home games. And then see where the chips fall when you're done with that on November the 8th. If you somehow, some way have gone 3-0, changes the discussion totally. If you've gone 0-3 or 1-2, it becomes a little more difficult. But it's not as dire as Joe Saints fan who's disgusted with the way they're playing would have you believe.
Yeah, I mean, I think all Saints fans, especially, starting the season the way they have, they're not going to have many great things to say about this football team. But I think for the Saints, you obviously let a couple close ones get slip away. I know that Vikings game is going to stick in their core a little bit, but you're still in it. And I think for so many teams, things could be worse. You could be guys out for the year. You're not getting guys back. I think every guy that they're really going to depend on, they're going to get those guys back in this lineup. And then you can slowly start trying to build momentum. Momentum is so huge in the NFL. When you get rolling hot, you kind of find the ways you want to win. You're not turning the ball over. Defense is forcing turnovers, and everything is kind of rolling the right way. That's what you need. And for the Saints, it's kind of been the exact opposite. Guys are getting hurt. You're losing tight games, and it doesn't feel great. And so I think for them, if they can start getting back to the winning ways, it's going to be a big one Thursday against a struggling Cardinals football team to me. If they can find a way to win that game, get a little rest, get some guys back in that lineup, then you can kind of start making that playoff push that you're desperately going to need to end the season.
We shall see. Sharif Ishaq been with the Saints post-practice from about 1:45 to close to 2:30, and that's when we'll have him on at 2:30. So Sharif should have some interesting information for us on how guys are feeling and what the mindset is as we move forward here 2 days away from game day with the Arizona Cardinals. That'll do it for us here in hour number one. I want to remind you first about the podcast we tell you about most days here on Hunt and Hill. It's over at Drop Biscuit Studios. It's called For the People, FORE. Professional golfer John Peterson, an All-American national champion here at LSU, and JJ Colleen, who's hilarious. Answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studio podcast, For the People. That's FORE, the people. Download and subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com. Those guys are hilarious, and you should check them out. They've got a lot of really, really good ones that are already in the can, and obviously put out new ones each and every week. So check them out over there at For the People. If you missed anything in hour number one, you can catch it on demand at 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube. It is all there. We open things up talking about kind of where LSU sits now that they've identified the guys that they want to do the majority of the playing this year. How many are young? How many are going to be in the program for a little while? And how many are probably on their way out? We went through that at the top of the show. National title picture, very much shaken up. We went through that at 1:15. Glenn West, as always, was at 1:30. Close things up here in hour number one with some Saints talk, which we generally do. Coming up at 2:30, as I mentioned, Sharif Ishak, Fall Baseball Report at 2:15. And when we come back, television rankings are in for Alabama, Tennessee. We'll get to those. It's Hunt and Hill.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
They said I was small, weak, said my heart wasn't strong enough. But I showed them what heart looked like, again and again and again. Mom got me the right care, the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Don't let people tell you who you are. Show them the right card, the right care.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit. We get it done with passion for our fans and love for our community. We are the Tigers. Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today for a better life.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. With Carson Wentz out recovering from surgery on a fractured right finger, the Commanders will start quarterback Taylor Heineke against the Packers on Sunday. All signs continue to indicate that Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott will return Sunday against the Lions. Team owner Jerry Jones on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas said today Prescott is physically ready to return from that right thumb fracture that sidelined him the last 5 games and is determined to play. No change is necessary for Dallas's offensive strategy once Dak does return, advises ESPN's Jeff Saturday.
The Dallas Cowboys are built to win on defense and through a strong running game. Dak Prescott gives you so much better opportunity to win games than Cooper Rush, but doing it in the same manner. Play action pass, big plays after they're controlling the tempo and the rhythm of football games. I love what they're doing here.
Jeff Saturday on This Just In. Baseball Yankees welcome the Guardians in the winner-take-all Game 5 of their ALDS coverage, bottom of the hour, ESPN Radio. Phillies Padres tonight, Game 1 NLCS, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio. NBA opening night, Warriors Lakers at 9:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
1, 2, 3. Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hour 2, Hunt and Hill. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Sharif Ishak with us in 30 minutes. Fall baseball report coming up in about 15 minutes. First of all, before we get to this television ratings deal, which I find a little bit interesting, you know what happened to the Guardians last night?
I know what happened to the Yankees. Not sure what happened to the Guardians last night.
So the Yankees and Guardians were in New York for a decisive game, and it got rained out, so they couldn't play. So got to send everybody back to their hotel rooms for a game that's going to start up at 5-something today. And the Guardians hotel room's like, guys, we don't have any room. We're booked. So the Guardians travel secretary's got to get on the phone and start calling every hotel on the Lower East Side, wherever they are, in the Bronx and Queens and wherever, trying to find hotel rooms. So they had their whole team spread out anywhere that would take them for the night. So you got all the advantage in the world there, Hilly. You better take advantage of it. You got guys sleeping all over the place. You got some in the Bronx, some in Brooklyn, some in Queens, Harlem. You got them everywhere.
Well, I guess it's karma because we were going to have to come in on the same day because we missed our flight to get back to the night before. So we got to fly into New York that morning and then play the same day, which I don't know how many times that's happened in baseball history. So I guess it's kind of the universe bringing things a little more whole for us. So, we'll see what happens.
How are we feeling about the Yanks tonight?
I feel good, man. I know we had Jameson on the bump, but I want to see Nestor on the bump. Hopefully that extra day we can kind of squeeze him in the lineup and get him out there. But Talion, I don't know, man. I don't know. But we'll see, man. It's Game 5. We're at home. I think we can pull it out. I want the Stros. That's what I really want.
Jameson Talion, one of the many in the long line. Garrett Cole's one of them, guys who became good in Pittsburgh, so they shipped him out of town as fast as they could for prospects. Anyone who shows at any point that they can play baseball at any sort of above average level at the MLB level, get out of town. What kind of prospects can we get? I'm not paying you. You better not be good. You are. You're playing for the Yankees. You're playing for the Rays. All right? Send Garrett Cole to the Astros.
Oh, man.
McCutcheon, out of here. That's just what they do over there in Pittsburgh. All right. Television ratings are up for Alabama and Tennessee. An average of 11.6 million viewers watched Alabama and Tennessee. It peaked at 17 million, which is just north of the previously highest rated game in the last 3 years, Alabama and LSU in 2019. It was a big one, and that's what happens when you get two name brands and you get a crazy back and forth game that first features the underdog team throw the first punch. And when Tennessee gets up 16, 18 points on Alabama, everybody's going to turn around and watch, and they did, and it delivered an unbelievable second half. That now means that CBS has had the most watched college football game 5 weeks in a row, and they're stepping away. to go broadcast Iowa and Minnesota. So your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll tell you what, those ratings are definitely going to drop. We know all these ranked matchups, they just happen to happen in the SEC. Just year in and year out, people want to see what's going on. We kind of know the dominance that Alabama's had, but I think everyone kind of loves that Cinderella story, that underdog, and you definitely don't see that many eyes going on a football game on any given Saturday. But for this one, I think the game fit the bill. I think that was a game for the ages, a barn burner going down to the last play of the game, and just what it meant for Tennessee fans. You saw all the joy on their face. I don't know what the handcuff thing is that they were doing after the game, but yeah,
it's something dated to Tennessee. That's a little bit deep in my Tennessee knowledge, but I'll say this, and this is what I said, and I don't know anything. I'm speculating here, but this is what I said when I found this out. We know in this contract that Fox has worked out with the Big Ten that they're going to have the big noon kickoff. That's going to be their time slot. Michigan, Penn State, boom, they put it on at noon. Alabama, Texas, they had the rights to that. Boom, Fox is going to have the big noon kickoff. And I believe CBS is going to have Big Ten football on at 2:30. I also believe the SEC is going to be on ESPN at 2:30, and I think they're going to put their headliner there. I think Alabama and Tennessee are going to play there. I think Florida and Georgia are going to play there. I think Alabama and LSU are going to play there. I think A&M and Georgia are going to play there. That's where I think this is. I believe this. This is not what I know. That the SEC is going to put their big time matchup at 2:30, and so I think it would behoove the Big Ten to put their second game at 7. Opposite the SEC's second game, which means CBS theoretically gets third pick, and you're going to be literally throwing up USC Purdue against Alabama A&M. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me, and that is not going to draw 16 million to your network. Sorry,
No, it's not. And I think, the SEC's king. And I think anytime you're adding Texas and Oklahoma to this conference, people are going to want to watch that. People are going to want to watch that. They're not going to pass up on seeing those guys match up with SEC opponents week in and week out. That's going to be new. That's going to be fresh. I don't know if people are so, jumping out of their seats to see USC Rutgers on any given Saturday afternoon. Like, I don't know if that's going to be moving the needle. But when you kind of look at the SEC now compared to what it was in the past, I know we got the Doors. I know we got my boy Drinkwitz, but you look at the SEC West, you look at some of the East, you look at what Tennessee's doing, like, it's not a slouch, man. And then now you're adding Texas and Oklahoma. I just think the SEC is going to be able to get the eyes. And once you get the eyes, it's like CBS, I mean, you made your move. I mean, they made their bed. They got to lay in it. But I just don't see the TV revenue and the eyes being on some of those Big Ten matchups, especially with the new landscape of what the SEC is going to be going forward.
And look, I have not looked at the contract, so I don't know. Maybe CBS gets second pick, and there are enough brands in that league. And I used, as the third pick, I used SC and Purdue on purpose. That's one big name brand against a lesser. USC Penn State and is going to be first or second. Michigan, Ohio State's at the end. That's going to be a big noon kickoff. But those big brands are going to be your Fox game. That's the big noon kickoff. So, and then you're going to have a second pick. Your third is going to be down the list. You're going to have Minnesota, and you're going to have Iowa, and you're going to have Illinois and Indiana. I mean, that's just the way that it goes. And, it just, to me, seems like the CBS had such a great thing going for such a remarkable discount, and to leave it on the table for what I believe to be an inferior product that's not going to produce what we saw here. And the SEC does this once a year. I mean, they did it twice in the last 3 weeks with A&M Alabama and then Tennessee Alabama. We know what Alabama and LSU has been over the years. We know what kind of rivalry Georgia and Florida, and it's just, this seems iffy to me. Again, I'm just throwing out what I believe to be the case. I don't have the information. We'll find out pretty quick when CBS starts broadcasting Big Ten games, and I look at what ESPN puts at 2:30, and I look at what CBS has that week, and I'll know. Yeah. But that's just what I think a year out.
Yeah, I mean, look, the numbers don't lie. I mean, you look at the viewers that tune into this Tennessee-Alabama game. I guess the only comparison that they may have this year is that Michigan-Ohio State game, but
and that'll be at noon.
Good.
That'll be at noon.
That'll be a noon game. So I just think going forward, man, it's the SEC. Like we know what they do every year. They're always going to be representing the college football playoff. Just the storylines are there. That the national, prominent coaches are in this conference. I don't know. I would love to see, after a season when they go to CBS and they take over the Big Ten and kind of compare some of the TV views and kind of what they get. But I just think it's going to fall short to what the SEC can do week in and week out.
The other thing I was thinking when I watched the environment that was Knoxville on Friday for SEC Nation, then for Saturday for game day, then for the game, then what happened after the game, and the reactions that were elicited from the Tennessee fans that are now all over the internet. And we know when one guy tore his ACL, they tore the goalpost. And I just started thinking to myself, it's like, man, the NFL is just not even close to this, in my opinion. Week to week, it's just not even close. The product is generally better. Now, the Broncos are hurting that on primetime, I'll tell you that. But the product is better. They're better players, they're better teams, they're better coached, they perform better. But in terms of the environment, with the bands and with charging the field and tearing the goalposts down and the emotion, I don't often see Cowboy fans crying after they beat the Eagles. Now, yeah. I will say, Wrigley was a free-for-all when the Cubs won the World Series and the playoffs and that whole kind of thing. And I understand those that champion the greatest regular season in sports because of the moments that it produced, like Saturday. And I get that. But the totality of it, even removing that piece of it, it's just such a special, special thing college sports can do. And I wonder sometimes about those that really love like cars or really love bird watching or whatever it may be. And I'm thrilled that you enjoy that. Do you get the jolt that Tennessee fans got from that, from whatever you love the best? Sometimes I often wonder that because I can't relate. I can't.
Yeah. I was going to go, the NFL gives you the exact opposite of those kind of feels from college. I'm sorry, Taylor Sharp, but this is still funny to me. When they panned the Cowboys crowd after they lost to the 49ers, and it was like people crying and everyone's like laying on someone's shoulder, and it's like all the memes and the TikToks.
There's plenty of those in college football too.
Yeah, it's just amazing. But I guess you get the exact opposite for the NFL. Got something, Taylor? Oh, no, I thought he said no. I'll let you be, man.
I decided on Tuesdays for the next 3-4 weeks that we're going to dive into a little bit of fall baseball for about 10 minutes a show on Tuesdays. So not going to clutter your Mondays when reacting to the weekend, not going to clutter your game previews, but Tuesdays, 10-15 minutes on fall baseball. We'll do that next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
As a community bank, B1 Bank invests in relationships with the people and businesses we proudly represent. Our B1 bankers are here to help simplify the complicated, understand your needs, and make managing your finances easier. At B1 Bank, we offer an array of solutions to help simplify your transaction needs. B1 Bank, one highly personal banking experience. Visit us online at b1bank.com for more information.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party. Book your tailgate today at revelryteam.com. Revelry Sports, the official tailgate partner of LSU Athletics.
Me, Jimmy Out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Dozy Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Refi Shack with us in about 12 minutes, talking Saints. Just got out of interviews with the Black and Gold, so we'll get some thoughts from Sharif on what we saw on Sunday and what we expect on Thursday. But want to get to some fall baseball here. I was able to go out this weekend, watch a little bit of fall baseball. And the first thing that I wanted to be sure that I saw was Thatcher Hurd on the mound. And I told you last week that every report was that Thatcher was feeling very good, looking good, and moving forward. And that continues to be the case. This is, of course, the right-handed transfer pitcher from UCLA who was brilliant early in his freshman season at UCLA, moved into their starting rotation, and then went down with some stress fractures in his lower back. Now, they're going to take him extremely slow. They gave him one inning last weekend, one inning the weekend before that, and that's really all they're doing. They're not going to stretch him out 4 or 5 innings in the fall. Too much time to be had to do that. But I did like what I saw from him. His fastball was 94, 95 miles an hour consistently. The breaking ball has a lot of bite to it. It is a sharp pitch. He throws a slider and a curveball. Also features a changeup, so a true 4-pitch mix there. He wasn't especially sharp on Sunday when I saw him hit a guy. Was missing the strike zone a little bit, but just the ball comes out of his hand really good, and he's got truly 4 pitches, which makes him a starter. I would cautiously pencil him into Hunt Palmer's likely rotation. I don't know what Jay Johnson or Wes Johnson's likely rotation looks like, or if they even care in the middle of October. But if you're asking Hunt Palmer, I would say there's a better chance than not that he eventually finds his way into the rotation. Do I think he's going to go 7 innings in the middle of February? I don't. Do I think they're going to try to move him forward towards being a big piece of the staff? I do. They have a lot of options, but he is among the top for me.
Yeah, I think anytime you have a pitcher that has that type of stuff, especially when you kind of watched last season, which I'm sure was a sore I'll take a quote from the last Thursday night. It was burn your retina seeing a pitcher that can only throw a fastball for his entire outing. And so anytime you have a guy that, has 4 pitches and they can gain that control, which is why they're working so hard right now, long before they ever go out there and throw the first pitch, I think that's music to everyone's ears when they hear a pitcher can get on the bump and do that. So just looking at the staff as a whole, it's just, I'm looking at the roster now, just so many new names, so many guys that were not on this roster next year. And I think those guys are a good opportunity to prove what they can do for the Tigers.
The other pitcher that I wanted to get a chance to see was Nate Ackenhausen. Ackenhausen is a left-handed pitcher that was brought in this class, and I liked what I saw from him on Sunday. He is a big kid, 6'2", 240 pounds, comes from Eastern Oklahoma State Community College, throws 91 to 93, touched 94 a couple times, and does throw a pretty good breaking ball. I don't know that I would call him a serious threat at this point, in my opinion, to be a weekend starter, but I do think he's absolutely a guy that they can count on. They really had after David Coleman went down last year, it was Riley Cooper against lefties, and that's just about it. And we really just need Riley Cooper whenever we have a chance to win to eat up some innings. Now they're going to have a little bit more left-handed arms behind him to help, and he's similar to Cooper in terms of that he's left-handed, throws in the low 90s, certainly can throw multiple pitches, and profiles more so, in my opinion, as a reliever. Needs some more left-handed arms, and I think Ackenhausen, to me, showed that he certainly could be that when I saw him on Sunday.
Yeah, talk about having a pitching staff where you got some worries about, and that was another one last year. Not the pitches, but actually just having lefties that you can go out there and match up against other teams, and that's just something, an avenue that just they didn't have last year. So I think anytime you can add another guy to that bullpen, we know Jay, he's not going to announce anything in the fall right now of these guys' roles and what they're going to be doing. But I think anytime you got a left-handed guy that has multiple pitches that he can get to and match up against other teams with left-handed bats, I think that's a great thing for this baseball team, because that's something that they just didn't have last season.
And as far as offense goes, the guy who's kind of stolen the early show, maybe unexpectedly, has been Zeb Riddell. Your boy Zeb Nolan, former quarterback for South Carolina. We've got Zeb Riddell here in this class. When you see national recruits come into LSU from Albuquerque, New Mexico, like Bregman, or Centennial, Colorado, like Gosman, or you see guys come in from all over the nation, you know that LSU has scouted these guys and wants to bring them to be a huge part of the program. Sometimes in a sport with 11.7 scholarships, sometimes you rely on a little tops, some in-state guys, and bring them into class. Who knows if they're ready to play or not? And there are plenty of guys who come in from Louisiana who don't pan out as great players. Not that everybody that comes in from outside the state is a great player, but sometimes when I look at these guys and they're from in-state, I go, okay, we'll see if and sometimes they become Austin Knoll or Anton Duplantis or Cade Doty, and sometimes they don't, and they don't become. But Zeb Riddell is from Monroe. He's from Neville, and he came in. He's not one of the more highly heralded guys in this class. Wasn't necessarily a huge draft risk, but he's come in. He's hit the ball out of the ballpark multiple times. He's got some good speed. He runs in the outfield, and the staff really likes the way he's approaching things. It's way too early, really, to say almost anything at this point, but certainly too early to say, well, is this guy going to play? Like, he's going to be out. Easy now. That's not really the point, but he's strong. He's a really good athlete. He's showing some power. He doesn't look overmatched, which sometimes you come from high school, you're facing a lot of 86, 87. You start seeing 94, 95, and your hands won't get there. He has not proven that to be the case at all. He's done a really nice job. Just another really good athlete they brought in, kind of in the mold of Josh Stevenson, but not quite as fast and with a little more power, but a Louisiana kid who can swing it from the left side and is going to be a nice outfield piece in the program. So, again, Josh Pearson, Dylan Cruz, Paxton Kling, Gavin Dugas. Like, there are a lot of guys who may play in the outfield, so I'm not ready to pencil Riddell into that at all. But he has done a really nice job, showing up here, and has made a really impact on the coaches through a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think there's no world where Dylan Cruz is into the center fielder of this team, and I think Pearson's done enough through his young career. He should be definitely starting at outfield, but I think that opens up a world for a guy like Zeb to take that other spot now. And I'm always a believer. I don't care what school you came from. I don't care what your star rankings was. I don't care about any of that stuff. If you can play, you can play. And if you can earn that between your coaches and your teammates, and they can trust and depend on you, see what he can have, see what he can do, see what he can bring to this baseball team. And like you said, he couldn't start out a fall camp any better than what he's been doing, especially not having the experience that a lot more of these other players have. If you're going out there catching plays off the wall, you're hitting big bombs, and you're doing everything your coaches have to do, and you can put some speed in there, Let's see what the kid can bring, because I think that other outfield spot, I think that's going to be something that they kind of play with and kind of see who can kind of, earn that spot for the long haul. But I wouldn't mind seeing Zeb out there early on to see what he can do.
Brent Semino says in the Bayou Ford chat, how's the defense looking, Hunt? So Milazzo obviously gives you a lot on defense at catcher, and I think Brady Neal's going to be a pretty good defender at catcher as well. You love Morgan at first. I'm not sure what Dugas gives you at second base right now, but we'll see. Jordan Thompson has looked really good defensively. He, quite frankly, was hurt at the beginning of last year, and we didn't really know it. He had knee surgery and just wasn't ready to roll. And by the end of the season, I wouldn't call him healthy, but he was better, and he was a better defender. Tommy White has been kind of the bright spot defensively over at third base. He's not going to be perfect. He's not going to be an elite defender at third base, but if he can just do it, that frees up another spot to put a bat, and I think they are comfortable with what Tommy White has been defensively. The outfield defense should be pretty good. You know that Cruz is a really good defender. Pearson is fine back out there. He made some misplays last year, but another year out there, he should be better. Then you've got some really good defenders. Kling can run really well. Stevenson can run great. I have no reason to believe that Riddell can't run balls down in the outfield as well. So I think the defense is going to be significantly better than it was last year for sure, and that's a very good thing because they gave some games away last year with just atrocious defense. That Auburn game still haunts me a little bit. Hey, it's not crazy to suggest that one more SEC win could have gotten them a regional host site, and they just didn't quite get there. So there's your look at a little bit of fall baseball here on a Tuesday, which we'll do moving forward. We'll change gears, go to the Saints. Sharif Ishak been talking with the Hoodats for the last hour. He will come out of the facility and chat with us here on Hunt and Hill next. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Ford, check out that inventory at BayouFord.com. Always love telling you about the service department over there at Bayou Ford as well. No one wants to deal with servicing your vehicle. It's a time killer, costs some cash. It's not something we plan for all the time. Well, you need to because you got to take care of your car. It's a big investment. So instead of sitting around a dealership waiting for them to order the part, figure out what's wrong, get 3 cars done before yours, and then 4 hours later give you the keys. No. Let them at Bayou Ford bring you a loaner, let you get on about your day, get the kids to school, get to the office, get to your meetings, get to lunch, wherever you need to be. They'll handle servicing your vehicle. They'll drive it right back to you. Take that loaner back. You will not have missed a beat. Service department is fabulous down there at Bayou Ford.
Yeah, head over to BayouFord.com. They have the all-new 2022 Ford Expedition Timberline, tinted windows, ready to lift 3 kit on there. Also, all-new 2021 Ford F-150s. They're getting $14,000 off MSRP, including the Black Widow edition.
Check out the inventory at BayouFord.com. BayouFord.com. Bayou Ford. They're going to do right by you.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Order curbside pickup online or with Rouse's Market Shopping app and let Rouse's personal shopper shop for you. Curbside pickup is free and you pay the same price for groceries as in-store. Use code SAINTS20 and save $20 on orders of $100 or more. That's curbside convenience. Shopper style.
Oh, yeah! Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born
on Wednesday's OTB. What does the eye in the sky say about Ole Miss? Plus, call, flock up, Pelicans, opening day. OTB, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Looking for something to do tonight? Pluckers Trivia, 8:30, Sports Trivia Nicholson location. We will be there handing out some gift cards if you win, and watching a little bit of baseball, and there's probably some sort of MAC football or something on tonight. That's likely at this point in the calendar. Saints will play on Thursday night. We'll go down to New Orleans now, chat with Sharif Ishaq of WDSU. Sharif, how are you, sir?
I'm good for the most part.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Things weren't so great in the Dome for the Saints. Defense let them down on Sunday, in my estimation. I thought the offense, while not perfect, was certainly better and probably good enough to win, and the defense was not. Your thoughts?
I would agree for the most part. 26 points, you would think with the so-called strength of this team would have been good enough. But going 1 for 5 in the red zone, that ain't good enough. I think if they scored another touchdown, that would have probably really helped them a lot. Unfortunately, that just wasn't the case. The play calling, I don't know if the play calling was just all that great when they got into the red zone. And, yeah, Cincinnati does have a solid defense. Didn't give up a second-half touchdown in that game or all season so far. But I would say that and the tackling. The tackling is just atrocious. I mean, between Paulson and Devo, Bradley Roby, Tyrann Mathieu. I mean, I counted at least 7, 8 missed tackles on very important plays in that game, and that can't happen. It can't happen from a team that's, supposed to be a defensive strong team, and that was just ugly. There's no other way to put it. You can't do that against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Those two guys are just alone they don't need no extra opportunities to score on you, and you saw that the final play of the game. You saw Joe Burrow do it on third down whenever Pete Werner dove at him and tried to sack him. Probably should have stayed on his feet and tried to keep going after him, but that's bad teams find ways to lose games, and they've 4 times this season. There were 4 different reasons why they lost the game.
Obviously, on the back end of the defense, Lattimore out, Debo's hobbled, Mays out, Tyrann's been in and out of the lineup. I get some of the struggles there, but up front they're healthier, and they're still not getting a great pass rush, and they're giving up some rushing lanes. What's the deal up front?
That's where it all started. I think that's why you're not seeing a lot of those interceptions. If you can't get to the quarterback, you're not going to affect the passes down the field. You're giving the quarterback too much time. That's just plain and simple. They have, 13 sacks, and 6.5 of those sacks have come from the linebackers and the defensive back. So the math tells you the other half are coming from the defensive line, and Cam Jordan has 3 of those sacks. And that's just can't get the job done whenever your defensive line, isn't going after the quarterback, isn't forcing pressures and back throws, giving them 4.5 seconds to throw the ball. Not winning many games if your defensive line isn't getting to the quarterback, and you got to win the turnover battle. Yes, they won it this past weekend. It was a special teams turnover. The defense has to find a way. They have to find a way this week against Kyler Murray to disrupt him, make him do something out of the ordinary, just horrible stuff. The Cardinals are a bigger mess than the Saints. I'm going to be honest with you. That's just a mess. Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray mess, just they can't fix.
Obviously, there's no shame in letting Justin Jefferson go for 100 yards. And, of course, there's definitely no shame in letting Jamar Chase do that. But the Cardinals activated DeAndre Hopkins this week. How confident you are in the Saints secondary that can slow him down?
It's not going to be easy. I mean, no Marshawn Lattimore. He's not going to play this week. I thought he would. I'm a little surprised that, at least Jarvis and Marshawn aren't back and Chris Olave's back. But, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins, and then they add Robbie Anderson. And with a beat-up secondary, it's not going to be easy. The good news is it looks like they're going to get back Alontae Taylor, who, was on IR. He missed the 4 games, and he says he's ready to play and contribute and, help the missed tackles and help the lack of interceptions on this team. And I just feel like Jeremy and Hunt, once, one interception happens, it feels like in a game they can get a few more. This team is one of those teams where the ball starts rolling, good things start happening. It just hasn't happened because of the basics of football. They have not done so well through the first 6 games of the season.
Chatting with Sharif Ishak of WDSU, talking about the New Orleans Saints. Offensively, with the shortcomings at the wide receiver spot that hopefully Olave helps with, what do you think it looks like on Thursday with Dalton back there?
I really do think Chris helps being back in the lineup, and the Traquan Smiths and the. I think they need to use Rashid Shaheed a little bit more. You gave him 1 touch on offense. They went away from it. I mean, that's the
pretty
one
good touch.
I mean, he needs to get the ball a little bit more. I mean, after that run, I thought, all right, get him more involved. He's taking Deontay Hardy's spot, a guy who's got good speed. You gave him like the $200,000 during training camp because he's a preferred undrafted rookie. Give him more touches. It worked. So I think it's going to go more run heavy. It has worked the last 2 games. They've run the ball really well in 2 straight games. I think you can see them control the clock a little bit more, take some shots with Olave, and maybe you get Traquan Smith a little bit more confidence. He caught the ball this past week, unlike the game against the Seattle Seahawks. And Callaway, at least those guys got reps last year, and they know what it's like to win and play on the road. Those guys are just going to have to be reliable. They're going to have to, as cliche as it sounds, they have to step up and do something in the passing game.
Obviously, do you have an update on Jameis's injury? And then do you think when he does get back to full health, he's just going to get put back into the starting lineup as a starting quarterback?
The other day, Dennis Allen says they're not putting him back out there until he's 100%, and it makes it sound like he's not 100% yet. So, I mean, they'll get almost 10 days off before they play the Raiders at home. So maybe that's probably the game I would say you may get him back for that game. And it all depends on how Andy plays this week. I mean, if he's successful, maybe they might have a decision to make. Do we keep riding with Andy, or, hey, if we sneak out a win and it wasn't really that pretty on offense, especially in the passing game, do we go back to Jameis so we can get more balanced on offense? And I think they're going to have a decision to make, but they're not going to throw him out there until he's 100%. They don't want to risk it and, send him back on, into the injury report and have him miss even more games.
I know you just did interviews. Is there any talk at all about, we're only 1 game out of the division race? Like, all's not lost. I mean, is there any sort of that going on? I mean, it's a professional locker room. They know that they got to go get a job done. But is that a part of the discussion?
I mean, I think they know they're not playing good football. Yeah. I think they know that. They know they know it's this, it's been a roller coaster ride. They've got the one thing they keep saying, hey, we've got to play consistently good. They know they're only a game out. I think they know there's like 11 games left in the season. But and deep down inside, they just got to understand they haven't played good football. And I think they know that. They don't look at that, oh, man, we're still in it. They're looking at it, hey, if we want to be in it and better, we have to play consistently better football in all 3 phases. Because, quite honestly, it hasn't been consistent. One game, like, oh, they look good. Look like a team who can win the double-digit amount of games. Then you look at a game like, Vikings, or even the second half of that Bengals game, like, oh, man, all these just basic things they can't do right makes them look like a 6-win team, if that.
Is the city ready to move on to the Pels, or what?
The Pels City, baby. Let's go. Yeah. This is a Pels City. Yeah, thanks for the top 5 picks, Los Angeles Lakers.
How's Zion's ankle?
Good. He said he was ready to go. He's fine. He's going to be in the starting lineup against the Brooklyn Nets tomorrow night, and he's good to go. Everyone's healthy, so that's should make for a good season if everyone can stay healthy. That's the key in New Orleans with any sport. Everyone has to stay healthy, but they're deep. It's one of the deepest teams in the NBA, and that's why I think you should be excited about how well they can play.
You said should be a good season. How good?
I'll set the limit at wins at 50. 50 wins would be nice for them if they can stay healthy and continue to build that chemistry and just have guys who can make plays. I mean, the big three has to score like between 70 and 80. A game. That's just plain and simple. That's what you got to get from your big three.
Where do you think they should go with their second option? Obviously, it's going to be between CJ and BI. Who would you like to see kind of be that guy to kind of take the lead after Zion?
If I had to guess, I'd like to see a little bit of Herb Jones. He is, to me, what Marcus Colston was for the Saints. I like what he does. He plays outstanding defense, and his shooting has improved tremendously under Fred Vinson this offseason. He is going to be that next leader of this team. And, if you can get a two-way player like that, good luck to the teams who have to go against him, because he was only getting better as they got into that playoff series with the Suns. So I'd go with him. And off the bench, I would go to Jose Alvarado, the spark plug.
Our official New Orleans insider, who's going through all things NOLA sports with us now weekly here on Hunt and Hill. Sharif, thanks for the time, man. We'll do it next week.
All right, guys. Thanks.
He is Sharif Ishak, WDSU. 50-32, that's doable, I think, for the Pels.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tight West, man. The West is just jam packed with teams, and you're getting teams back healthy. The Nuggets are gonna be back healthy. The Clippers are gonna be back healthy. The West is tight, and my Lakers we're not looking too good. So
they're not good.
So just
in fact, they're bad.
Yeah, we're bad.
That's all right. Pels opening season tomorrow up in Brooklyn, New York. Saints on the road to Arizona coming up on Thursday night. We'll come back, play some Take It or Leave It, get on down the road. It's a Tuesday edition of Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Tip off the Pelican season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get $150 of free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code 1045 ESPN. Plus, all customers get 3 months of NBA League Pass when they place a $5 bet on the NBA, courtesy of FanDuel.
Look, check it out. Look at the Lakers are in action tonight. They're catching 7 points against the Warriors. I would strongly advise just take the Warriors, lay the 7, and get rich. That's the way you do it. Just bet against the heart of Jeremy Hill, and you'll improve greatly your personal wealth. I want to remind all customers you get 3 months of NBA League Pass when you make a $5 bet on the NBA. That's courtesy of FanDuel. And you can watch all the action as you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to totals. Best of all, you get your winnings paid instantly. So don't miss your chance to get $150 in free bets plus 3 months of NBA League Pass with the promo code 1045ESPN. Remember that promo code 1045ESPN. Plug it in. That tells FanDuel that we sent you over there. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the New Orleans Pelicans. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. New customers, first online real money wager only, $10 deposit required. Bonus issues is not withdrawable free bet. Expires in 14 days. Existing customers, $5 NBA wager required. Limit 1 pass per customer across both offers. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See full terms with both offers at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're somebody who knows a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP. NBA League Pass.
Professional golfers John Peterson and JJ Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
I am Juliette, daughter of Marguerite, granddaughter of Gabriel Piera. I come from a line of strong women, women who knew struggle and success too. Still, I was scared by my breast cancer diagnosis, but I had Blue Cross coverage, which meant I got care from top doctors. I'm strong like my mother and her mother before her. The right card, the right care.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today for a better life.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the NBA.
NFL is back. Our coverage starts Sunday at 10 a.m. with Magnolia Bluffs Football Sunday with Jimmy Ott, immediately followed by the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts at noon, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing up shop here, Tuesday edition of Hunt and Hill. Tomorrow's show, we will have J.D. Piquel from On 3. We'll also give you our SEC power rankings. Could the Vols be on top?
Maybe so.
We'll just have to see. Next week, tomorrow at 2:30, those power rankings are coming at you. Tonight, I will be at the Pluckers on Nicholson. 8:30 for sports trivia. Have a lot of fun. Cold drinks, warm food, fun trivia. You can win gift cards. Lots of gift cards up for grabs, including $10 for best team names. You don't even have to know that much about sports, but if you have a good team name, you might win $10. We'll be there, as we are every Tuesday at 8:30. All right, let's crank it up. Take it or leave it.
All righty, here the Tennessee Vols. They jumped to from the number 6 spot to number 3 spot in the AP poll after taking down Alabama in a thriller, 52-49. Ohio State taking the number 1 spot. Georgia coming in at 2. Are you taking or leaving? Tennessee has a case to be the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, I got a case.
I'll take it.
You've won a couple home games that have been, against big name teams. You went on the road and beat Pittsburgh, which isn't a world beater. They've been worse of late, but got a good quarterback. So, they have a case. Would I necessarily put them there? I'm not sure. We'll find out tomorrow, but I think, what about you?
I think so. I mean, looking at Georgia's resume, they had the win over Oregon. And that's it, really. That's really the only team they beat. Ohio State had the big win over Notre Dame to start the season. I'm not so sure about that one either. So, I mean, if you're just looking at resume, I think, Tennessee, they'd be, 3 or 4 ranked teams already. Yeah. And they be, the number two team in the country. So, yeah, I think they definitely have a case. I know the AP poll, they're never going to do that. They're going to keep Georgia and Ohio State there.
I could go on for an hour about the AP poll that last week voted James Madison 25th and this week voted Tulane 25th. These teams aren't any good. So if you're only going to look at how many wins and losses you have and then throw somebody in there, I'm going to laugh at you. Tulane wouldn't beat Auburn.
Yeah,
it's just they're not good. They don't have good players. They don't have pros. They beat bad teams. And we're ranking James Madison. If you're a college football writer and you write James Madison in, what point are we trying to prove here? No one thinks James Madison's one of the top 25 teams. What is the problem if we put a bunch of SEC and Big Ten teams in the top 25? Like, is that a problem if you put a 4-loss SEC team in the top 25 because James Madison beat some school no one's ever heard of? I could go on for an hour. Whatever. Kevin Durant had high praise for the Pels' Zion Williamson ahead of the opening night matchup, saying he's seen guys at his height get up and down the floor, but none to the level of Zion Williamson, making him a 1 1-1 type player. Zion Williamson, 1 of 1. Take it or leave it.
I guess I have to take it. I don't know if I've ever seen a 6'6" guy. I'm going to be nice to Zion here. They have him listed at 290. Who knows what that number is? But if you're 6'6", 290, getting up the floor he does with the vertical he has and the handle he has and the quickness that he has, I mean, Charles Barkley may be the closest, but he cannot jump remotely close to how high Zion can jump. So, yeah, I'll definitely say Zion is 1 of 1, and the Pels are definitely going to need him to play to that level. I mean, he scored probably one of the quickest 1,000 points you've ever seen, and he's definitely a special talent. So, yeah, I'll agree with Katie here. Zion is 1 of 1. Okay, you'll love this one. PGA Tour golfer Joel Dahman, he took a shot at the LIV Golf Tour, who has an event at Trump National Doral this week, with a tweet saying, if a player wins a golf tournament in a forest and no one sees it, does it count? Are you taking or leaving? More PGA Tour golfers to send shots towards LIV.
I don't care what they do. I mean, here's the deal. Brooks Koepka won some stupid LIV tournament and, gets emotional about it, and they're saying all this great stuff about him. And the fact is that Brooks continued over and over and over again to tell us that nothing matters except the majors in golf, and that he doesn't practice for regular tour events, and they don't care. And then you're going to get on there and win this stupid fake golf tournament and fake cry about it because LIV told you have to act like you care to get this money. And that's all this is. That's all this is. It's just the whole thing is an act. Every press conference is an act. Every camera shot's an act. There's no one at this tournament. No one actually cares about the tournament. I watch as much golf as anybody. I don't even know what the tournament was. I know nobody was there, and that Brooks Koepka darn sure doesn't care that he wins the tournament, other than the fact that they have a ton of money that they're going to give out. And I never blamed any of them at any point for taking the money. But don't lie to me and tell me this is such an important deal when you said every tour event that wasn't a major is no big deal. It's just it's a lie. I can't deal with it. So there you go. That's all I have to say about that. Stan Kroenke, Rams owners, agreed with other NFL owners to pay the remainder of a $790 million settlement to the city of St. Louis for the team's relocation earlier. You taking or leaving? This will slow down owners for the future from moving their franchises, having to offload a ton of cash, settling with the city.
Yeah, I mean, I look up my man Stan's net worth. It's hanging at about $9 billion right now. So I don't know. I think he could probably afford the remainder of that little settlement. But I do think for a lot of the franchise who would want to move, I mean, I'm thinking maybe Jacksonville could possibly move, and some of these other franchises may want to move. But that's a hefty tag, man. That's a hefty tag to try to want to move your franchise. So I'll take it. I think it'll definitely slow down some owners in the future.
I'll take it. Franchise relocations bum me out, and I realize that a lot of them are relocated franchises that have become great places elsewhere. And look, the Colts got their team taken, Baltimore got their team taken, and they got another one back, which left Cleveland hanging and all that kind of stuff, and all that kind of works out. And look, the Ravens going to Baltimore is a great thing, and it becomes a great thing because they have such a great fan base. But I just think if my team up and left, if I realize it's impossible, but it's the only thing I can really go to. If LSU just up and moved to Kansas City, that just breaks my heart. That's and I realize people are going to go like that's a stupid comparison. Well, the Cubs aren't here. I mean, and I don't care that much about the Saints, so it's just a different deal. But relocations bum me out. I realize the Rams didn't have great attendance, and my cousin was in from St. Louis, went to the Mississippi State game here in Baton Rouge because she just moved to New Orleans, and so this is the first football game she's ever been to. I said, "You never went to a Rams game growing up?" She's like, "I don't think so." It's like, they didn't draw great, and I get it. I understand their economics behind the whole thing, but surely there were some fans that really loved the Rams that were hanging off that greatest show on turf run and thought maybe we'll get it back here eventually, and then the team just leaves, and that. I hate that. I hate it.
Yeah, it's bad. And I think when you have situations like that, everything kind of go wrong. And I don't know. It's something about the fields. The Raiders had the most terrible field ever. They had to get out of that stadium. And then the St. Louis, Reggie Bush had a huge settlement against the city of St. Louis because they had that old AstroTurf in there. And it's just like, dude, we've been just way past graduate. He got hurt on that too. The city is like, I
wonder if Wendell Davis collected from Philadelphia. He blew both his knees out on one play. Both knees, one play up there at the vet on that turf.
Yeah, get your fields fixed, man. It's 2022. Like we gotta be able to play on an actual field where you can cut on, like we're playing football.
Man, you look at some of those old clips, even in the dome, like with the just like hard AstroTurf.
it's so
Guys
bad.
playing football on that. Like that's.
Oh my goodness, it was
I'm gonna
bad.
pass on that.
It's not fun. Look, everyone has had a carpet burn as a kid. Imagine playing football with 20 carpet burns.
Forgot
at one
about
time.
carpet burns.
Yeah, not fun.
Got a feeling there's about to be a lot of carpet burns in the Palmer house. We just moved our coffee table out of the living room so he can crawl around and stuff because there's not enough room for him. It's just rolling around the carpet everywhere. That'll do it for us here on a Tuesday edition of Hunt and Hill. We opened up the show talking about LSU and where they are in terms of classification with the starting lineup on this football team and what the future may look like there. Talked about the national title picture in college football as well in the first hour. Glenn West of Go247 was with us in hour two, crank things up, talking TV ratings with CBS. If they made a big mistake, Fall baseball report, if that's your thing, 2:15 today. And Sharif Ishak was with us at 2:30. If you missed it, on demand, 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. It is all right there. Jimmy Ott's going to drive you home with Game Time on from 6 to 8. Matt is actually going to drive you home from 3 to 6 coming up here on After Further Review. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Hope to see you out of Pluckers. If not, we'll see you tomorrow. Maybe Jeremy's crying about his Yankees. Maybe he's all fired up. Lakers will make him cry anyway. See you tomorrow. Hunt and Hill.